Weekend Update with Norm Macdonald.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Norm Macdonald, and now the fake news, our top story tonight. After devastating losses in this week's Super Tuesday primaries, a humiliated Steve Forbes has dropped out of the presidential race. Reportedly, Forbes was so despondent that he was overheard to say, "I feel like $1 million." Meanwhile, Pat Buchanan has warned that if frontrunner Bob Dole chooses General Colin Powell as a running mate, his followers will march out of the Republican convention. Later, Buchanan admitted that actually his followers march everywhere they go. In a Michigan courtroom this week, Dr. Jack Kevorkian was acquitted of murder charges after jurors agreed that he had made a compelling argument for assisted suicide. Well, Chelsea Clinton turned 16 a few weeks ago, and apparently her father has been teaching her to drive. Early reports say that under the president's tutelage, the first daughter has become exceptionally good at cruising for chicks. According to a Senate Committee on Violence, Denise Brown has done more to bring attention to the cause of battered women than any other person. Well, almost any other person. Once again, OJ gets the short shrift. And in business news, this week Kmart introduced its new credit card, and already the chain has been swamped with applications. So if you apply for a Kmart credit card and are turned down, kill yourself. A new study has found that cheating is up dramatically on many of the nation's best college campuses, and, quote, students who cheat and get away with it continue to cheat into their adult lives. So says Rutgers University professor Don McCabe. Don McCabe is the feller's name. In Maine, a dog trained to dial 911 successfully notified paramedics after its owner's oxygen mask became loose. It was a close call, however, as 911 operators had trouble locating the address. Woof, woof. In Little Rock, Arkansas, a consumer group is proceeding with a petition drive to get a proposal on the November ballot that would exempt food from state sales tax. Or so the Germans would have us believe. Only weeks away from parenthood, Pamela Lee Anderson and her husband, rocker Tommy Lee, are considering names for their new baby. If it's a girl, they'll name it after the mother and call it Pamela. And if it's a boy, they'll name it after the father and call it Lucky Bastard. Scotchmen are tight with a penny. Well, Washington, D.C. Mayor Marion Barry says he has devised a money-saving plan that would close the district's Lorton prison and transfer its 7,000 inmates to private lockups. One hitch is that the financially strapped district doesn't have the startup money to implement the plan. Another hitch is that the guy who devised the plan smokes crack. So, there's two hitches. Well, the results are in for 1995, and once again, Microsoft CEO Bill Gates is the richest man in America. Gates says that he is grateful for his huge financial success, but it still makes him sad when he looks around and sees other people who have any money whatsoever. Last week in Colorado, 71 guns were traded for Denver Nuggets basketball tickets in a program called Operation Ceasefire. However, in a sad example of just how tough it is to stop the violence, earlier today, 2 people were stabbed to death. with Denver Nugget tickets. The U.S. Public Health Service has begun using CIA spy technology from the 70s to detect tumors in women's breasts. Doctors can now determine if a breast has a cancerous, and also if it has been squeezed by a communist. Well, in a recent interview, Christopher Reeve said that Robin Williams' comedy helped convince him to go on living. He then added that Pauly Shore's comedy made him pray for the sweet release that death would bring. Last year, German Shepherds were rated the nation's most effective police dogs by far, sniffing out more than $100 million worth of illegal drugs. Or so the German Shepherds would have us believe. A little technical glitch of some sort there. And in Independence, Missouri, a library that was to be the second stop for an exhibit called Banned Books as Art has decided to ban the exhibit. Librarian Fran Murray, who personally ordered the ban, said she has nothing against any of the books. She just loves irony. And finally, on a sad note, the entire nation joins us here at Weekend Update in mourning the death of comic legend George Burns. Let this be a lesson to all you kids out there. Smoking kills. And that's it. See you next week, folks.